Welcome to this edition of Peak Performers Podcast with your host, Thor Conklin. Thor will be sharing the necessary tools, strategies, and psychology you'll need to become a peak performer in any area of your life or business.
Welcome back to another episode of the Peak Performers Podcast. I'm your host, Thor Conklin, and today you are really going to enjoy the conversation because you know what? It's all about conversation. It's about communication. Today's guest, author Joseph, founder and chairman and Vocal Awareness Institute. Author is widely recognized as one of the world's foremost communications strategists and authorities on the human voice. His voice and leadership training programs, communication mastery through a disciplined regime and specific techniques designed to cultivate an embodied and enhanced leadership presence and personal presence. I could use this course because I just messed up the intro a little bit.
I hadn't even noticed.
That's a true mark of a great professional. Don't make the student feel bad yet. He's coached Angelina Jolie, Sean Connery, Tony
Who
Robbins.
was that first name? Was that an Italian cook?
Yeah, I think she's an actress. Angelina Jolie.
Oh, Angelina.
Yeah, did I get that? Say Angelina. Thank you. Jolie. Sean Connery, Tony Robbins, Stephen Covey, Jerry Rice, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and many others. Welcome to the show.
Well, what a joy to be here, man.
Man, I tell you, it took us about 30 minutes to get this thing going because our communications weren't working because there was a faux pas on my side. I plugged the wrong plug into the wrong socket. You figure I'd get this thing nailed down after 690 some odd episodes, but Arthur, thank you very much for joining us today. I've really been looking forward to this episode because, when it comes to communication, what we say is important, but how we say it is so impactful. I do a lot of work with Tony Robbins, for those that are familiar with the show. Great to hear that you worked with him. And, if you've ever seen any of Tony's stuff, his communication style is so impactful. Tell us, give us some behind the scenes. What makes Tony's communication so effective?
Well, being 6'9" or 6'10" is helpful.
Yes.
And I say that pejoratively, but the point is his body language, the presence he claims on stage is a big deal. When I first began teaching Tony maybe 3 decades ago, I used to disagree with the basic premise. I would say, Tony, we can't empower people. That's arrogant. We can, however, help them empower themselves. And he would refer to my 7 rituals as only Tony would recognize as pattern interrupts. Because he was, his thesis, to create a new pattern, we have to exaggerate behavior to break an old one. Well, in this regard, speech is habit. We never think about it. We just talk. But Tony speaks in a style of communication I call in vocal awareness conscious awareness. He's listening. He's tuned in. He's not simply on automatic pilot. And he knows his subject matter so well, and he himself is so confident in his own brand, his own identity, you trust the messenger. And so one of the themes in this work is that voice is power. When you own your voice, you own your power. In this day and age, it's no longer acceptable. It's not really what we say, it's how we say it. It's not simply the message, Thor, but it's the messenger. If I say to you in some fast millennial way, talking to your audience and in this really high-powered way and say, what a joy it is to be here. I'm really happy to be on this call today with you, Thor. Thank you so much. Versus, Thor, I'm really happy to be on this call with you today. Thank you so much. The first one is bogus, but we don't know why. we don't trust that first man, but why? And it was simply because it was too high and too fast. So you're getting all my white noise, you're getting all my stuff. I hope you like me. Am I doing okay now? Versus being in the integrity of who I am. It's a principle in vocal awareness called choosing our vocal and presentational persona. The root of that word persona means through the sound. One's identity is largely conveyed through the sound of a voice and an opinion created in 3 seconds. So if I'm saying, hey, wow, this is really cool, man, it's nice. And when you own your voice, you own your power, versus when you own your voice, you own your power. And it's definitive. And that's another piece of the work called visceral language. I make voice visual. What word was just underlined right there, Thor?
Visual?
Yeah. And you actually saw it, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
So I write numbers of Hall of Fame speeches for my athletes who are inducted into various halls of fame. And all of their speeches are also fully annotated in this technique called visceral language. I'm a classical singer by training. I have a master's in voice. And I look at music and it tells me everything to do. But we look at words and they don't tell us anything. They're just words on a page. A PowerPoint slide. Do most of us even write out the full presentation? No, we put bullets up. And we make it up as we go along. But we do ourselves an extraordinary disservice. Because every public encounter, from this wonderful podcast to Tony on stage to whomever it is a performance. Because someone is watching or listening. We look up in the back of my latest book, Vocal Leadership, and I'm so privileged that the commissioner of the National Football League wrote the foreword, because he's one of the most successful businessmen in the world, certainly in America, and one of the most highly integral people I have the privilege to know. And so in Vocal Leadership, we speak about how do we not just convey the data, but tell the story. And in visceral language, I teach you how to annotate your text so that the words come alive. Now, as you're tracking with what I'm doing, you can see me see words. And they land, because in all verbal communication, only 8% is language-based. And an opinion is created in 3 seconds, so there is no warm-up. I was saying before the call, when you were telling me about your target audience, that a number of years ago I was chosen as YPO International Resource of the Year. And I haven't worked for YPO for some time, but I really loved it because I had the people who lead my planet really wanting to learn how to be and do their best. So here with your audience, I want them to be able to walk away with real take-home. If I say to you, Thor, tell me a sentence about the work you do, please. May I play with you, by the way?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So give me a sentence about the work you do.
We work with entrepreneurs to help them become more profitable and more effective.
Great. So now, sit as a man, and we're going to say that sentence a number of times. Is that okay with you?
Sure.
Would you write it out, please?
All right.
I've never done this on a podcast before. Let's see how it flies. This is cool. Just that one sentence.
Yep.
Now, would you please read it?
We work with entrepreneurs to help them become more profitable and effective.
Now, at the front of that sentence, write CLB, which stands for Conscious Loving Breath. I'll teach you that in a moment. At the top of that sentence, write an S for stature, which I will also share with you. Circle the period at the end of the sentence. Underline the word entrepreneurs. What's the rest of the sentence after entrepreneurs?
To help them become more profitable and effective.
Underline the H in help.
The H in help. All right.
In the word profitable, put what's called a downbeat. It's an accent on the O, an accent grave, profitable. And underline the F. And what's the next P word?
No other P word. And effective.
Okay. And effective. And in the word effective, underline the FEC.
Okay.
And actually put an exclamation point, not a period.
Got it.
And so now let me teach you something. Stature is not merely sitting up straight. I'm going to ask you to pull a thread from 3 inches below your navel, which is where core begins, slowly and gracefully like this, please, Thor.
Okay.
And it goes right up to the top of the middle of your head. And then when it hits this mark, it keeps pulling taller and taller and taller. Please do that with me, Thor. Slowly with your hand.
Oh.
Wonderful. And hand down. And notice the first thing your body did when I asked you to embody a man of stature. Embody a man of stature, and I'm just going to help you. Do you notice you inhaled?
Yes.
Yes. Now, may I use the word God? Would that be inappropriate?
That would be fine.
Within yourself, the first of the 7 rituals, we can say thank you to Source, thank you to God, just thank you. But within yourself, really take that thought of saying thank you in for yourself. Don't say it aloud, just embrace it for yourself. And you inhaled.
Mm-hmm.
And your room instantly got quieter. Am I correct?
Yes.
So now, our breath is not only physical, Thor, it's also emotional. So I don't want us just to take a breath. We use breath and vocal awareness very strategically. So I'm going to guide you for about 5 seconds like that. And the breath is silent, slow, and I'll take care of the rest. Wonderful, Thor. That's your CLB, conscious loving breath. So now we're going to hold your paper up at eye level, please. And we're going to I'm going to help you get into stature. Thanks, Source. The CLB, and at the peak of the CLB, read your sentence in 3, deeper, deeper, 2. And then you're going to read your sentence aloud. I'm sorry.
No, that go.
At the peak of
At the peak of the
inhale.
In.
Exactly.
Okay, got it.
We're in stature. Oh, before you do that, write one or 2 adjectives that you want to embody. Thor is. And don't tell us yet.
1 or 2?
Mm-hmm. May I give you a couple of mine that I already observed?
Yes.
Passionate. Integral.
You got the other one. All right.
I'll help you. Source in 3, 2.
We work with entrepreneurs to help them become more profitable and effective.
Now, is there any pause written in the middle of that sentence?
No.
But you took one.
Why?
Presentational. We work with entrepreneurs to help them become more profitable and effective.
Now, you didn't pause there, or did you pause?
I didn't.
You did not.
Because the other is a presentation. This one is more embodied.
Which one was more embodied? Yours?
Which one do you like better? We work with entrepreneurs to help them become more profitable and effective. Or we work with entrepreneurs to help them become more profitable and effective.
I'm not sure if I pick up the differences between the two.
Okay, I'll make it more obvious. We work with entrepreneurs, giant pause. We work with entrepreneurs to help them become more profitable and effective. Or we work with entrepreneurs to help them become more profitable and effective.
I like the pause.
Well, to each their own, potato, potato. And I take the pause out because that's not how I would talk. The idea is that we're at Starbucks having conversation.
Yes. Okay. All right.
It's not as relatable.
Got it. One's more presentationable, or presentation versus conversation.
Exactly.
Yes. And I tell you, it's interesting because I will tend to go at times more presentational than conversational.
And as a singer, one of the things I teach is that space has value. A song without a rest is that's not the same piece of music. So space creates thinking time. But I want to be judicious about where I use that space. So I'm going to guide you. You've memorized that sentence, and I want you just to glance at it peripherally so you see those underlines and those stress marks.
Yes.
I want to play with you out here.
Okay.
And you don't need to pull the thread. I'll do it for you. I help you with source and CLB. 3, 2.
We have this. You want me to say this?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Good already, man. You ready?
I'm ready now.
Stature. Begin.
We work with entrepreneurs to help them become more profitable and effective.
And tell me which one of these you prefer. Watch my eyes. We work with entrepreneurs to help them become more profitable and effective. Or we work with entrepreneurs to help them become more profitable and effective.
I think the second one. I did good? Yes. I'm getting better.
And because the mouth is where the words come from, Thor, but the eyes tell the story. The first time your eyes were a little flat. The first time I shared, my eyes were disengaged. The second time, like right now, it actually changes the sound of a voice. So now I want you to be so dialed into your persona, integral, passionate, and whatever else you wrote, that you embody what that sentence represents. In stature, eyes only on me. 3, 2.
We work with entrepreneurs.
You let out your oxygen. Breath is fuel. If we don't put gas in the tank, we don't get to our destination.
Too much coming out too quickly?
Yes. Before you spoke, you exhaled half the tank of gas.
Oh, really?
Do you play sports?
Yeah. Well, I'm an athlete. Yes, triathlons.
Okay. So how important in your discipline is maximizing energy and doing everything as efficiently as possible?
When it's a 140-mile race, it has to be efficient.
Yes. And so you have breathing timed in your steps.
Yes.
You've been trained to relax your delts and traps while you pump, ...
Yes.
This is the same thing. This is form and structure. It's just never ever thought about it before. And as elite an athlete as you are, if you decided one day that you wanted to try out for an Olympic team, would that take your training to a whole other level?
Yes.
This is communication mastery. Two of my favorite words in this context are champion and audacious. I've got 20 students alone in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So I really understand championship mentality. And being a singer by training, I understand how an artist thinks in the moment of performance. You don't enter one race trying to beat the person next to you.
Right.
If you do, you're going to lose because it creates stress. All you can do is run your best race to be and do your best in envisioning outcome to take care of itself.
Yes.
So this is mastery. Before you run, you have a prayer. You have some sort of spiritual ritual. Am I correct?
Mm-hmm.
But we don't take those same spiritual rituals into work. But we do in vocal awareness because it is mastery. And all mastery requires the integration of mind, body, spirit. It's not just great biomechanics. So we have in vocal awareness what are called mastery moments. What's on that piece of paper is part of a mastery moment. Put myself in stature. I'm aware of my brand. When this stress of certain words and ideas is part of the concept in vocal awareness, subliminal persuasion. Because we're only going to get 8% of it. I want to influence your unconscious mind from the way I stress an idea. That's important. Retain that thought. Notice I didn't just say, that's important, retain that thought. I said, that's important, retain that thought. Hear how it becomes immediately more compelling?
Yes.
So let's go back to that sentence. I'm going to guide you. We're in stature. Source. 3, 2.
We work with entrepreneurs to help them become more profitable and effective.
Now, that was much, much better, was it not?
Yes. And what I realized, I think the first time with that breath, I was taking in too much breath. And then I felt like I was kind of overexpanded in.
No, that's not the case.
That's kind of how I felt.
I believe that.
And then before I spoke, it was like, all right, let me get rid of the excess air before I start vocalizing.
But we know that your breaths when you run are very exacting, and none of them are what I call bird breaths.
Yes,
barely
true.
Keep a bird alive.
True.
So again, breath is fuel.
Yes.
So when you listen back to this, I'd love you to compare the first one, which was too fast and higher pitched, with this version, and see which one is more genuine and which one better fits the Thor brand.
Yeah, the second one felt much better.
Yes, i.e. more effective, i.e. more integral.
Yes. Yes. And I noticed that when I slowed down the entire pacing of it.
May I play?
Yeah.
Tell me that same thing again you're about to tell me, but don't take your eyes off me, please, Thor.
I noticed that when I slowed down my voice.
Let me help you. Breath is fuel. Not a bench press. It's slow and silent. Here we go again. Just easy.
I noticed when I slowed down my voice that I didn't need that extra pause within the sentence.
And did you notice that was more mindful?
Yes. It was interesting because as I'm speaking, I'm seeing you kind of coach me through it. And
exactly.
I'm going from like thought to heart. It was kind of it was an interesting, it was a little disturbing or unusual to see, because I was trying to interpret what you were saying, and then
I got it.
yeah,
But your unconscious already gets it.
yeah,
And so I'm doing this third base coaching nonsense out here.
Yeah.
You're trying to intellectually comprehend it, but
right,
the body already intuits it.
yeah,
And so what it also created, and if you do listen back to our podcast, notice right there that you've tuned in. And it's the sixth ritual of this work. Pay attention, deeper listening. I want us to listen internally. I spoke about champion and audacious. The root of the word champion is not a sports-centric term. The root of the word champion literally means dazzlingly skilled in any field. The root of the word audacious literally means bold, intrepid, daring, courageous. The root of the word presentation, present, means to introduce formally, to bring before the public. Performance, perform, means to carry out, fulfill, to do. So this notion that I've woven together in vocal awareness, empowerment through voice, which is actually trademarked, which I'm quite proud of, because that's what I'm teaching, is empowerment through voice. I want us to be who we are, embody who we are, not present seeking approval. I want us to own our power without approbation. I don't know one champion, one great artist in the moment of performance worries about what anybody else is thinking.
yeah,
But out here, we get all these mixed messages. Oh, don't act like that. What will people think? Oh, don't say that. That sounds arrogant. So if I say to you, vocal awareness, Thor, is extraordinary work. It can help you change your life in moments. Now, that's stupid and arrogant, you hope I would acknowledge. But if I say in response, Thor, vocal awareness is extraordinary work. It can help you change your life in moments. That's not arrogant. It's my truth.
right,
Sociologists tell us the greatest fear in society is public speaking. That's totally bogus. The greatest fear, actually two fears: fear of abandonment and ownership of my power. Claiming who I am without worrying about what you think of me being the size of me.
How does one go about claiming that authentic voice?
What a thoughtful question. We create a persona statement. This is how I want to be known. We create a vision statement. What is the contribution I'm here to make? This is a performance. Now, we have to get over that word, some of us, because it seems inauthentic, when in presentation it's actually quite inauthentic. Performance, potentially more authentic. Can you have a lovely instrument. Can you take your headphones off for a moment and still hear me? Can you hear me all right?
I can hear if I keep it over here, yes.
Because what I want is for you to cup your hands to your ears like this.
Go ahead and say something again.
Can you hear me all right?
Now I can. I turned it up. Yes.
Okay. Because I want to answer your question in a way that helps your audience.
All right.
So, just as you normally would, sitting as there, however you want to sit, the sentence is, when I speak, I need to be aware.
When I speak, I need to be aware.
Now, that's your voice, Thor, as we hear you. Now, I'll help you pull the thread. We're going to embody a man of stature. Get about, that's better. See how core engages, chest opens, watch delt straps. And this time, don't take a deep breath. Allow, and the sentence is, when I speak, I need to be aware. Underline the last word and see a period. In 3, Deeper, 2, deeper.
When I speak, I need to be aware.
Does that feel or sound any different?
Yes.
You can put your headphones back on. Now, you hear that the voice was richer, the pitch a little deeper, the voice having more presence, more resonance.
Yes. As a matter of fact, it felt like it was coming from my sternum or my stomach versus my throat.
And that can be intimidating for people to experience the robustness of that sound. So we create safe harbor. When you give me your voice, you give me who you are. Voice is a very intimate uncovering. We're all wearing the emperor's new clothes. And yet the root of the word intimate, Thor, means intrinsic or essential. So in vocal awareness, I help us tap into what is essential about us without flinching. So we practice this. We practice reading aloud and record. We practice a conscious, loving breath. We practice being comfortable and in integrity. Integrity, integration, same root source, meaning wholeness, being in the gestalt of who we are, owning the size of that. But to do that takes extraordinary amount of practice, ubiquitous 10,000 hours. You go to a concert and you know what you're going to get on stage. But how many thousands of hours did it take to get that on stage? An athlete, we know. But in business, we don't extrapolate those same principles. But in vocal awareness, we go over here before it even shows up over there. One of my senior leaders, an EVP at a global company for 20 plus years, came to me in his early 50s. He's now in his late 50s. When I first came barging into his life, he'd never written out PowerPoint presentation in his life. 50, 60 slides, far, far too many for an hour town hall, blah, blah. His first town hall, he read it off his mini iPad and was written in visceral language, all annotated. But for that to happen, we practiced. I'm sitting next to one of his direct reports. That was our first time I met her. She came to study with me later. And I'm noticing the notes she's taking in her iPad. Everything she was noting was underlined in his script. It went on like that for about a year and change. After that, he didn't even use a confidence monitor, not one piece of paper in his hand. But for that to be accomplished, I'd get his script on a Wednesday or a Thursday for the following Tuesday. I'd annotate it, send it back. He'd send me home video of him delivering it. He was in New York, he's in New York. I'd fly there, we'd work for 2 or 3 hours on a Saturday or Sunday. Then we'd rehearse the morning of. So for that 45 minutes to an hour town hall, we worked 10 to 15 hours. Because a champion does it differently.
You know, it's interesting. It reminds me of what Tony does behind stage before he goes out on stage. He spends 20 minutes activating his body, activating his voice. And what you see when he shows up on stage is the result of training and going over and doing it over and over and over again. He never walks out on stage without being fully initiated.
It's wonderful insight for your audience to hear. When you do see him again, I haven't seen him in decades, but tell him Arthur sends love and hugs.
I will. I'll see him in a few weeks. You know, it's very.
I would love to be back in touch. So if it works out, I'd love to say hi.
Absolutely. You know, it's interesting. When we were working on the breath, what I originally felt is I felt the upper part of my lungs kind of coming up and expanding, and I forgot really to breathe through my abdomen and really expand my diaphragm. And as we were going through and we were talking about that authentic voice when I had my hands cupped, and I said to you that that voice felt like it was coming from my sternum, from my stomach. It's a totally different feeling. It's a very relaxed, powerful, rounded form of my voice, my authentic voice, versus the presentation seemed to be, and you can hear as I even switched to presentation, it forms more in my throat, and there's a tightness to it, and you can hear the pace increase.
One of my dear friends and students is the Hall of Fame quarterback, Kurt Warner. And I was warming him up the other day prior to game day morning. And I speak about sports like I actually know what I'm talking about, but I haven't observed in a while. And so I said, Kurt, I want you to relax your tongue. And I was equating the tongue release with his shoulder as a quarterback. And I said, if you took me on that football field and taught me to throw 40 yards, the first thing I'm going to do is force from my shoulder. Because I don't know what I'm doing. And then he said, that's exactly what I'm teaching my son. He said, you don't throw with your arm. And he's demonstrating like this. It's all core. It's all core. You don't throw with your arm. And I said, your tongue we use to articulate with, but it's the strongest muscle in your body per diameter. And we don't want to create unnecessary tension there. So we want that tongue and jaw to be so released that we can do whatever we want with it. Whether it's that dramatic or this intimate, we never need to create tension there. Does that example make sense? You don't run like this. You run like this.
Yeah, and it does. And for me, it really starts with that breath. It starts with the expansion of the stomach coming out versus a breath that is held higher up in the chest. Yeah, that really resonates.
Have you enjoyed any of our time today? Because I know I've overstayed my welcome.
This is one of the most unusual podcasts we've had, but I have a feeling that this is going to be one of the most impactful for the audience.
Now, did you hear anything change as I'm gesticulating again like a crazy person? Very subtle. When you listen back, you're going to notice the voice is a little more relaxed.
Yeah.
The pitch a little lower, the timbre, the color a little fuller. And all I'm doing is releasing tongue and jaw tension.
It's been a fascinating and very learned experience. I really appreciate the coaching, the interaction, and I think the audience is going to get a tremendous amount out of today's episode. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much.
Next steps. What can we do? How can we work with you? How can we improve our game and take it to the next level?
My website is vocalawareness.com, and it's not my personal email there, but there is a guest email, and I answer all inquiries. And then there is an affiliate offering that I'd like you to share with your audience that is only available to your listeners that I'm really quite earnest about, because it's a 50% discount on a truly transformational piece of vocal awareness, with me teaching the work in video and with a study guide, etc., that accompanies it. So would you care to share how they can feel about that?
Yeah, absolutely. What we will do is we will put that in the show notes with all the information. I really appreciate you offering that to our audience. Thank you.
My vision is to change the world through voice. And I'm really enlisting people in what I call the human achievement movement. And you clearly believe not just in perfect, but in excellence. And so being on your show really matters to me. And I appreciate the time.
Well, thank you. And in today's environment, if you're good, 20 years ago, if you were good, it was okay. Today, you can't be good because good just doesn't cut it. You've got to be exceptional. And we talk about that an awful lot here in the show. We talk about that with our clients every day. It's a crowded space. In order to stand out, you've got to be the best. And the best takes time. It takes practice over and over and over again. And if you can't communicate effectively, no matter how great your message is, you'll never get it out. So I really appreciate you coming on today. And I'm looking forward to it because I think I could use some training as well. And I really appreciate all the insight you gave me already.
God bless, and thanks for the time, Thor.
Thank you. God bless you as well.
Bye-bye.